Hello Libra, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Libra is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. These readings are totally free. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Libra, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And Prince of Wands, a fixed fire energy. This is a lot of activity. This is a consistent motivation. This is not the beginning of something. It's not the ending of something. It's like that spot right in the middle where you are kind of like following the rules. You know, you're driving at a consistent speed and you're moving with all the twists and turns. You're paying attention. You're not going too fast, you're not going too slow, you're using your turn signal, all that great stuff. You got your seatbelt on. I think you're somebody who is right now involved in a project that is it's exciting, right? It's a project, or it's a life, it's an activity, it's a job, vocation, it's work, some kind of work, right? That feels good, that we're motivated. I can't wait to go do it, okay? And it's not always like that. Don't get me wrong. Some days there's like, I got to get out of bed. But for the most part, this is something that you're committed to. This is something that feels like the energy is there. And I think when you're connected with a sense of purpose, you rise to the occasion. You know, it's still hard to get out of bed early in the morning, but you do it. And once you get going, it feels good. Yeah. So let's see what we're doing with this energy. This is a lot of stamina. This is perseverance. Okay. We've got an Eight of Swords. All right. Maybe we're starting to come up against some resistance mentally, you know, and because again, maybe it's just like, oh, I got to get out of bed again. Like maybe it's getting a little bit harder and harder to sort of kick ourselves into gear. Here we have a Six of Swords. We have a Queen of Pentacles. We've got the Universe card. And we've got your Libra superpower card in the future position. Okay, that is the adjustment card that is associated with the sign of Libra. And to me, it feels like there's a big surprise ahead for you. Okay, and I think that it really is a breakthrough. The breakthrough that you're waiting for, that you're working toward, is going to happen very, very soon. Okay. And that, I think, is when we start to meet with this kind of resistance, that Eight of Swords telling us that this is pointless, this is hopeless, there's nothing I can do, it's not working, I've just been doing the same darn thing every darn day and nothing's happening, right? That's that kind of resistance that we just need to push through. Your mind is going to rebel. It's that ego part of our mind that says, I don't want to do this anymore. This is boring, nothing's happening, I'm not getting any kind of reward, let's leave, let's get out of here. But that fire energy in you is saying, no, we're staying with it. We're going to remain consistent because the world we're trying to build, the life we're trying to create is here. It's going to happen. And I think that the appearance of your superpower card is confirming that, yes, in the very near future, you're going to get that big surprise. Okay? Here we have a Seven of Wands. Very good. We have a Nine of Cups. We have the Magician and the Princess of Wands. So this is going to, the big surprise is that the sustained effort you're putting in now, you're going to reach a culmination of that, and there's going to be an opportunity for you, for that ego impulse to go try a bunch of different things, right? So it may be that you're working on one thing. You have this hyper focus, a hyper fixation on one thing. It's a commitment. You have perseverance for this thing. And what is commitment? Well, it's your ability to say, I'm going to do that thing and nothing else. None of that stuff over there. So the Princess of Wands here is going to be the breakthrough that you need in order to start doing all those things that you had to say no to, right? It's sort of we're delaying all of these other interests we have and saying, no, right now I need to focus on this. And once I do this, then this other world opens up to me and I can do all these other things that I've always wanted to do, because that's what the Princess of Wands does. It wants to go and it wants to get involved. It wants to just follow the excitement. If it feels exciting, if it's arousing me, and if it's catching my eye and I feel an enthusiasm for it, I want to go do it. Impulse to behavior like that. No resistance, you know. Right now we're coming up against the resistance because you're trying to remain fixed in this one activity until you reach a certain measurement of success, perhaps, or until you can judge or weigh the success, the progress that you've made, and say, okay, now it's time that I can release my energy from this restriction and I can be free to bounce all over the place and do whatever the heck I want. Okay. So I like this. I think this is great energy. I want to select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the Factor Infinite and Unknown. We're going to set it down right here with Kelly Kapoor right there on top. And we're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together. It will give us the confirmation we need at the end. Okay. If at any point during this message you feel like you might know what that card is, put your prediction in the comments down below. Yeah. So, as we look around the room, we see some major arcana, don't we? We've got 1, 2, and 3. The world, right? This is kind of the outcome that we're looking for. This is what we want to create. This is the universe we want to build, the world we want to build. That's our personal reality, okay? And the Libra energy is you making the higher wisdom and discernment choices, the inspired adjustments in your life, and knowing, kind of not listening to the impulses, not listening to the mind that has its own agenda, you know, but making decisions from that higher, that top level executive function of spirit, right? And of course, realizing that we are the magician, and for the magician to create the world, that's what the magician's doing, right? Creating you, and so that you can create the world. Yeah. In order for the magician to create, the magician has to know what to focus on. The magician has to have the ability to channel the energy, to direct our attention. What you focus on is where all your energy is going to go. Like I tell my daughter, she's learning how to ride a bike. I say, wherever your eyes are going, that's where the bike's going to go. Because one day last year, she turned and like that and looked back at me, and then she fell over. Right? So I keep telling her, where your eyes go, that's where the bike's going to go. Wherever you're looking, that's where your body's going to go. You know, like you're walking down the street and you're looking at the person over there and you find that you're drifting as you walk, right, off to the side. Or in the car, it happens too. So pay attention next time if you don't believe me. And so I feel that the magician needs to know what to focus on right now. And I think that I think your fire energy with your prince here, this is what you're focused on right now. This is everything you're not focusing on right now, but you really want to. And so it's kind of this idea of if we can get through that mental resistance, if we can lock ourselves in, keep telling maybe the Eight of Swords in this case is really a very good card. So we've got our majors, we've got fire and fire, we've got water, we've got air and air, we've got a little bit of earth in the background, okay? I think the Eight of Swords in this case is a very good card. This is a card of rumination. This is a card of always looping back in on the same things. And to me, it's kind of like no matter how far my mind strays out to other things, I always bring it back to center, bringing it back to what I'm doing right now. Maybe this is the way that you're dealing with distractions, dealing with a lot of a variety of impulses. I want to do something else. You know, my energy is being pulled in this direction, and the Eight of Swords is, nope, I'm bringing it back to center. I've got to finish this particular phase of life. this task, this project, this art project, or whatever. I've got to finish this thing before I can start any of these other things that I feel would be very, very exciting to start. It's kind of like we've got to wait for something. I don't know if you're. I mean, my first thought is we're kind of like we're waiting for the divorce before we can get involved in something else, or we're waiting for the paperwork to go through, or waiting for it to become official, right? It's something that we're working on now, and there is some sort of a measurement of success for you. There is some kind of something happens that tells you when you can release your energy from this. Okay, but for now, the Eight of Swords is us trying to just bring our thoughts back. I may be daydreaming and wishing and hoping and feeling pulled toward these other things, but nope, I got to finish this. It's like, keep thinking about where I'm going to go on the weekend, what we're going to do, how much fun it's going to be. Well, nope, I got to get through, I got to get through my Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday first, okay? So, that's kind of what we're doing here. We're trying to always bring ourselves back to the task at hand. Yeah. And every card has light and shadow. So the Eight of Swords mostly is we're ruminating on, so we're stewing over something that we shouldn't be stewing over, and it's preventing us from doing the work we need to do, right? But I think in this case, it really is about us just bringing our energy back to always looping things back in and coming back as far out as we may stray mentally. We're going to bring it back to the task at hand so that we can get this thing done, whatever it might be. Okay, whatever work you're involved with. Now, I don't care how old you are. Work is just what you're sort of burning calories doing every day. Work is what you are putting your attention into. And I think right now you're trying to put your attention into one thing, as much relatively, within reason. Focusing on one thing in life. Now, you can't do that absolutely. Well, then you wouldn't be eating, you wouldn't be sleeping, you wouldn't be doing other things. But generally, the one main priority of your life, that's what we're trying to focus on. Okay? And we're trying to just bring our mind back to here and now and not think about the future, not think about all the fun things I'm going to do after this. It's like you're at the gym and you're just focusing on your gym, focusing on the exercises, not thinking of, I'm going to go eat after this, and I'm going to go take a hot shower or a sauna or a bubble bath, or I'm going to go have some ice cream. Like, it's going to be so good. Tomorrow's my rest day or my cheat day. No, you're trying to bring your thoughts back to what's going on right now. Okay? And I think that your ability to do that, this might be more of a mental thing than anything. The fire energy is your attention. This is attention that's focused on one thing right now. This is your attention that's focused on a million things right now. Okay? And that's fine after. That's fine later at the end. The long-term sort of outcome here is that you're going to get to, you have your choice of whatever you want to do after. But right now it feels as if we need to be able to keep our focus. Okay? We need to visualize very clearly the plan. We have the Six of Swords underneath everything. We need to be able to visualize clearly, affirm your power, and take the decisive steps toward the goal, whatever this measurement is, right? Whatever the goal standard is for you, whatever that metric is that you're trying to hit, whether it's a particular day, a particular amount, a particular piece of paper, or some kind of, some other kind of standard, or it's a way for you to judge whether or not you've completed this phase or this task. Okay, whatever the finish line is for this one, I don't know what it is. It feels like it's something official, though. It feels like it's going to be a very clear distinction between I'm not done, I'm not done, I'm not done. Oh, okay, I'm done. Okay, I feel like it's going to be a very distinct line that you're going to cross, right? But we've got to be able to do this visualization, stick to the plan, positive reinforcement, positive mantras, and I think that's part of our Eight of Swords, bringing ourselves back to the center, making every thought point to the middle. Every thought is right here, right now, focused on what I'm doing right now, because we want to do it the best way we can. We're trying to create a world here. We're trying to create a new reality for ourselves, see? And this is what we're trying to manifest. This is the bigger picture. Because in the smaller sense, it's kind of like, well, yeah, I'm doing this intensive activity now, and then later I'm going to get to do any other number of activities, right? But what is it all for? What's the bigger picture? If we can look at the bigger picture and realize the larger world that we're trying to build, we may say, okay, I got to take a couple months to focus intensely on just this one thing. That's a drop in the bucket for the bigger picture, right? That's not that, I mean, I'm willing to do that. It's one piece of the puzzle, right? It doesn't mean that this state that you're in now is going to be the permanent state. This is one piece of the larger picture, and so this is temporary. It's all part of the plan, okay? And I think that this is the sort of infinite possibilities that are out there for us to create. We could create any world we want, right? This is a blank slate. And I think that in some ways you need to, with the Six of Swords, we need to know what we're creating. We need to know what the bigger picture is. Right now, maybe we can't tell. Okay? Something's coming through from Spirit about a school, or you working at a school, or there's some kind of it feels like a school. It feels like there's some sort of administrative energy going on around you. I don't know if that's where you work or that has something to do with this, but it feels like a school, right? But it may be some kind of other like administrative office of the school or of a university, or maybe some other, I don't know if it's a government office, some kind of administrative building or something for you, yeah. The Queen of Pentacles looking at the past, right? This is the card that is, well, always looking at the past. And just as much as we don't want to worry about the future, we don't want to ruminate over the past either. But this is the card that's kind of saying we've done the long and winding road to get where we are. And in some sense, we don't want to abandon it now because we're so close to that big surprise, to that big ending, that big celebration for this phase of things. Okay? This is the card that can look at our history and distill everything into these kernels of wisdom. Right? We learn from the past in order to understand the present and to kind of to deal with the future when it comes. Okay? We don't want to linger in the past. We don't want to look at the past and think, wow, there were better days back in the past, or looking at that long and winding road and thinking life was better, in the good old days. But we do want to understand what we've been through in life so that we can say, I know how to do things. I've done hard things before. I'm capable of doing hard things, right? Sometimes part of our Eight of Swords is where we start to convince ourselves that this is not worth it. We're not capable of this. This is too difficult, and there's no real benefit to it. We should stop doing it, right? And that's again where we kind of have to loop back in on the center. We got to bring everything back to the center here. All the swords of the six are pointed right at that heart, right in the center of things, right? Because we could use the past, the present, the future as a reason to give up and go do something more interesting, more fun, etc. Okay? But what we need to do is bring everything back to the center and say, no, regardless of kind of how easy things were before I started this, I'm doing this. Regardless of what I'm excited for about the future, I'm doing this. Regardless of how scary it is out here doing this thing and taking a risk and trying to build my own life, I'm doing this. Because sometimes we look at the universe card, we think this is a vast, infinite vacuum of space, right? It's a cold and lonely place. I think we're trying to realize that we're creating the structure, and it will be filled with our purpose. We're building this life, and it's going to be filled with abundance, bounty, love, joy, bliss, happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment, and family, and all this stuff, right? It's not going to be an empty shell. So realizing this bigger picture, and now maybe part of the work here, you see, there's no water over here, is there? There's no water right here that you're feeling, because when you're here, we don't feel the love. We don't feel so good, really. because we're focused on what we're doing. When you're in the gym and you're lifting the heavy weights, you're not feeling the benefit of good health. You're not feeling the benefit of like, I'm doing my purpose, thinking bigger picture here, you know. We're focused on lifting the weights the best we can, and our form and technique, and like keeping ourselves motivated, etc. It's only afterwards when we can kind of, we can stand back and we can look and say, wow, yeah, I did that. That was a good day at the gym. You know, that was I'm satisfied. That felt good. I'm happy that I did that. Okay. Let's talk about the path of the serpent. We see some really good energy here. Again, more fire energy. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, by the way, please do. Readings are totally free. The Seven of Wands is our struggle against ourselves. It's our push. It's the way that we are, no matter what our mind says to us, we're going to keep going. Okay? Let's talk about first, though, I should address the wisdom and discernment of your Libra power card energy. Okay? This is your ability to make choices that are in line with your heart's desires. Not making choices from our attachment to the past, or our longing for something in the past, or making choices from our Eight of Swords kind of rumination, or the resistance, or that mental, those complexes perhaps that are trying to get us to avoid the difficult work, the hard work. Okay, we're making choices that are in line with our plan. Right, in line with our heart's desire, and that's why every sword is pointed right at the heart, right in the center of that rose cross. Okay, and this is your ability to judge things in real time. It's this is that, again, higher wisdom and discernment, making choices in real time. With any thought, word, and deed, we have to weigh it. Is this helping me to get to this goal, or is this going to be a distraction? Is this going to take me further away from my goal? Right? And there is no. This is the one case where it is black or white. One cup is going to be heavier than the other. If it's neutral, tie goes to no. I'm not going to do it. Right? If something is neutral, it might as well be negative or detrimental. Okay? If something is helping you get to your goal, it's an obvious, yes, this is going to be good for me. This is going to help me to do it. This is going to get me there faster or stronger or more completely. Okay? If it's neutral or if it's negative, it means that it's restricting you, it's diminishing you, it's slowing you down. It's an unnecessary thing right now, and everything that comes our way in life, we've got to see how much weight do I give it. How much weight? Well, you know, having the ice cream, well, that's got some pretty heavy weight to it. But going to the gym, working out, eating the salad, right? Well, that's got to have more weight to me. If it's in line with my heart's goal, in line with my ego goals, well, yeah, the ice cream is always going to be heavier, right? So we're making sure we're understanding what our measurement, what our standard is. What are we weighing it against, right? The top level, higher goals, spiritual goals, yeah? The heart's true desires, not the ego desires, yeah? Anyway, the Seven of Wands here is your general energy. This is the fight that you've got in you, okay? I think you're somebody right now who is, you're not really letting a lot of people get too close to you, okay? I feel like you have a very committed energy right now. This is the card that kind of says, don't bother me, I'm working on something, right? I'm very close, I got to keep going. There's an intensity. And people sort of know to kind of like, okay, give Libra some space because they're working on something right now. It's like when you're at the gym, you're lifting weights and you're really in the middle of it, right? And someone comes along and wants to chit-chat with you, and you're just like, get away from me. You can't just see that I'm struggling to continue lifting this weight, you know? I feel like that's kind of your general energy right now. I feel as if you might be experiencing the fatigue, you know, when you get to the end of your workout, it feels like your muscles just won't move anymore. That's when the mind says, well, let's just quit. Let's just give up. Let's just abandon this. Let's go have some ice cream. Let's go do any number of things that are going to make us feel better. Okay? But what we're doing with this consistent fire energy is we're saying, no, I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to run away from this. Okay? Sometimes the swords cards here will find us running away from our problems instead of resolving them. Okay? And especially when things start to get really, really difficult, especially when we feel as if there's no way I'm going to win this today, you know. Maybe this is the idea that I'm doing this even though there is no real win. I know that I'm pushing and I think the gym is a good analogy, that I'm not conquering these weights. I'm lifting these weights and then my muscles are going to fail. I know that I'm going to be defeated by these weights today. But that's kind of the point of it, right? Because we're strengthening ourselves, and tomorrow I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it to the point where it defeats me again. Because then I'm making myself stronger, but the weights are going to be always a little bit heavier than I can handle. Obviously, otherwise you're not really lifting weights, are you? So this is that kind of attitude. But the Eight of Swords might tell us, like, let's just give up. This is pointless. There's no point to doing this kind of work, right? There's no point in being this committed to something. And you're pushing through that. And with that kind of intensity of energy, this is the life that you're creating. This is your environment. This is your relationships. This is the world that you're creating. It's full of abundance and love. It's a Nine of Cups. It's the happiness that keeps on happening. It's the love that keeps on loving, right? The celebration that keeps on celebrating. This is fulfillment, satisfaction, and abundance on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and the spiritual creative planes. This is happiness. And I feel like this is a deeper, it's not satisfaction. When you're headed toward your goals, you can be happy. You can be in the middle of this intense activity, and you can still be like happy. It sucks, it hurts, my muscles are tired, I'm all achy and sore, but I'm happy, right? You're not satisfied, you're not fulfilled yet because you haven't reached that goal. This is the card of kind of working toward those goals and the happiness that we get from knowing that we're heading in the right direction. Okay. The happiness feels as if it's in the activity. This is a verb. It's not a state. It's not saying I'm going to be happy when I reach my goal and that's that. Once I get to the other side, then I'll just be able to sit down and relax. I'll be happy. I'll be contented, and that's it. No, I think this is really saying that, building the life and engaging with the world and doing what I'm meant to do in life, that's where the happiness is. This is a happiness in the doing of something, not in the having of something. Yeah. I think you have a lot of support in your life. I think you have a lot of good, healthy relationships. And I think that you're trusting in the journey and you're moving forward. Yeah. I feel like you've been writing a journal, doing more journaling type stuff lately. I think maybe you've been doing either some healing work, some processing work, of some kind of, I feel like you've been writing about some kind of an old heartbreak or an old like childhood thing. And I feel like you've been doing that kind of healing work through a journaling about some specific incident. Yeah. Anyway, our Magician card in the difficult position here, the obstacle. And that's obviously the Magician is the one that's focusing the light. That's able to direct the mind, the body on something. It's the salience. It's what we're paying attention to. It's saying that I'm transmitting the light of my consciousness to this one thing right now. And when we can focus on that one thing and we can try to keep ourselves motivated, keep ourselves interested and attentive to it, we are changing, like literally changing ourselves, changing our brains, like neural pathways and it's the neuroplasticity. Okay? And the more we are able to focus on something, the stronger those connections are that are being formed in our brains, in our souls, in our minds, right? In our energy field. And I think that's kind of the That's the thing that we're really trying to keep in mind here, is that we're doing this for a reason, because my ability to focus on what I'm doing and not be distracted by a million other things, or not try to be engaged in a million other things at the same time, I'm not really learning anything. I'm not really developing any kind of new connections, right? So we find that we're able to perform better, learn better, and then repeat it again when we have the ability to focus, to focus on what we're doing, just whatever the task at hand is. Our ability to focus on it is going to construct in us an even greater strength that we're building up our best selves. A self that is capable of, really doing anything. Like this card, anything you put your mind to, you can do. You're the magician. You're the one that is causing change in conformity with your will. You know what your will is. You know what the obstacles to your will are. And you know what it is that you're trying to create. And you can see the effects of that creation. And your joy, your happiness is in the act of creation. It's not in the thing that you create, you see. Okay. I think the Nine of Cups is also a great celebration of life. I feel like you're someone who practices gratitude, and you radiate a really strong presence in the world. Even when you're in that mode where it's just like, don't talk to me, I'm working hard, I feel as if you have a tremendous love and a generous spirit and a lot of gratitude in your life. Yeah. And of course, getting through this, knowing that we're focusing our attention on this, and we're sort of changing ourselves and we're changing our world simultaneously. What comes next long term is this kind of a freedom, right? I feel like it's almost a confidence that because I've done this thing and I've gotten through till the end of it, that I've focused and I've committed myself, and we pass this very distinct line into the sort of end zone. That sort of gives you this confidence that makes you say, I can do anything I want. If I got through that, through all my internal resistance and external resistance, and I did it, then I can dance with the tiger. I can do anything I want now. And so I feel like this is opening up a door for you energetically, spiritually, where you realize that anything you focus your mind on, you focus your energy on anything, you can achieve it. Because you know the discipline, you know the focus, you know the issues you're going to deal with, you know the unconscious complexes that are going to come up and try to distract you or throw you off course. Yeah. So it's in a way, it doesn't matter really what you're doing. What matters is that you're doing it, because the skills that you're learning, the energy, the pathways, the connections that you're developing by doing this, you can then take to anything else in the world and do it, And that's how you're making yourself capable of creating the world any way you want to create it. Yeah. And this universe card is really an open-ended thing. There's no limit to what you can create. Possibilities are endless here. Your world can look any way you want it to look. Okay. Let's look at the mystery card. I don't even know. Maybe some pentacles, right? Maybe a 9 or a 10 of pentacles, a 4 of pentacles, 4 of wands. I think maybe 4 of wands would work here. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's see what we have. A Queen of Swords. This is a kind of a mental detachment in a way. This is our ability to observe ourselves, to see, to kind of look at this is almost like, in a way, the mind looking at itself, This is somebody that can kind of detach from the situation and look at it objectively to see the bigger picture. That's kind of what this card does. Looks at the bigger picture in order to to kind of put into perspective the insignificance of that mental resistance. It doesn't really seem so powerful when we take a step back and look at it from a distance. But when we're right in the middle of it, yeah, it feels like, oh gosh, I can't do this. I'm going to succumb to these shadow, thoughts and complexes and things. So this is that card of objectivity. This is a card that is like literally saying you need to look at the bigger picture so that you can sustain your effort and get through this phase of the work, because it's almost over, And I think it's going to be very, very, you're going to be very glad that you stuck with it. But we need to take a step back and look at that big picture so that you can see maybe how close you are to the finish line here, right? And how quitting now would throw away all the work you've already done, and you'd have to start back over from the beginning. So don't do that. Yeah. This is an ability for us to stand on guard against against these thoughts, against these complexes, against that mental resistance. Okay. There's a connection with Portugal for you in your life. I don't know the Portugal connection. Somebody with a B name is very important to you. Maybe they're in Portugal. I don't know. That's coming through as a message for you. Okay. Take a look at the bigger picture, what you're trying to accomplish. Yeah, and that'll help you to get through this particular phase. That's getting more challenging, right? Now we're going to do an extended reading. We're going to do an I Ching hexagram. We're going to do some oracle cards. There's a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Libra, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. The readings are totally free. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.